Saturday, the 1st of May 2010 was an exciting day in the life of one humble but great man in Kenya, the Very Reverend Dr. John G. Gatu, when hundreds of family members, friends, fellow clergy and well-wishers from all walks of life congregated at the PCEA Moderator Church in Karen on the outskirts of Nairobi to celebrate his 85th birthday.
You cannot be cut sweet, but you want to cut a roasted goat. Enjoy yourself. Make sure don't go home without having a bite. It's so sweet, it's so nice. You'll be eating this one. This is what our leader has been telling us, that we need to be cut our African cakes. That's how it looks like.
The theme of the celebration, I am his unworthy servant and have only done what I ought to do, based on Luke chapter 17 verses 10b, belied Reverend Gatu's checkered career. However, the guest list was indicative of the various hearts that Reverend Gatu has won throughout his life. He has been a husband, a brother, a father, a grandfather, a great-grandfather, an uncle, a teacher, a preacher, a counselor, a peacemaker, a poet, a writer, a journalist, a scholar par excellence, a consultant, and most importantly, a friend to all.
Yes.
Reverend Gatu was born on 3rd March 1925 to immigrant parents Muthoni and Gashango Wagatu in rural Kiambu, central Kenya. These humble beginnings notwithstanding, Reverend Gatu transcended tribal, ethnic, provincial and regional barriers to become a global citizen of great standing and repute. He studied divinity at the St. Paul's United Theological Seminary in the early 1950s and was the first Presbyterian minister from Kenya to study in Scotland, where he also served as a parish minister. Thereafter, Reverend Gatu was awarded a Master of Theology degree from the prestigious Ivy League Princeton Theological Seminary, New Jersey, USA. His outstanding zeal as a scholar did not go unnoticed.
His outstanding contribution as a scholar, the Johnson C. Smith Theological Seminary awarded him an honorary doctorate, Doctor of Divinity degree.
Ordained as a parish minister in the then Kiamadhare Parish in 1956, Reverend Gatu rose through the ranks to become the first African Deputy Secretary General of the Presbyterian Church of East Africa in 1961, the Secretary General, and finally held the helm as the moderator of the 9th and 10th General Assembly from 1979 to 1984. Reverend Gatu also served the ecumenical family in various capacities. He was one of the vice presidents and chairman of the General Committee of the All Africa Conference of Churches from 1974 to 1981, vice chairman of the World Council of Churches Commission on Faith and Order from 1975 to 1983, and a member of the Executive Committee of the World Alliance of Reformed Churches. Nearer home, he served as the chair of the National Council of Churches of Kenya, the Bible Society of Kenya, the Ufungamano Christian Student Leadership Center, St. Paul's United Theological College, and Christian Health Association of Kenya, among many other ecumenical bodies in the region. A substantial part of his life was spent in military service. He joined the King's African Rifles at age 16 and served in Kenya and Ethiopia in the Second World War as a signals officer, instructor, and was finally promoted to the second highest rank for an African then, that of a company sergeant major. In 1946, he was one of the selected few Kenyans who attended the Victory Parade in London. In the late 40s, he took the Mau Mau oath and joined the struggle for independence. On Sunday, 21st October 1950, Reverend Gatu came to face with the saving grace and the life-changing power of Jesus Christ and immediately enlisted in the army of the Lord. He has never looked back. Nelson Mandela, our very own icon in our time, says, "Leaders must mobilize and inspire people to respond to crisis with a clear vision and imaginative action. They must dare to be different and must be prepared for the cause to be difficult. They will be faced with tough decisions and they must come up with bold and innovative responses." As a global leader, Reverend Gatu has not shied away from commenting on major issues both at the domestic and international arena.
Just about the time of independence, when the independence was coming, there was a very, very strong feeling with some people that the churches in Africa will not last after independence. We proved that to be false, because not only did we speak to politicians who are then active, but we also managed to convince everybody that the church was here to stay. And indeed it was here to stay.
His firm stand on selfhood, self-reliance, and freedom from all forms of captivity, dependence on the West included, culminated in the moratorium debate that won acclaim both on the continent and internationally. This gave birth to the Jitegemea movement that has been a blessing to the church in the third world generally and in Africa in particular. Reverend Gatu has undertaken many difficult assignments in Kenya and beyond the borders, including contributing to the birthing processes of newly independent African states. Not too long ago, he assisted in crafting the Sudan peace agreement and was among luminaries such as Ambassador Bethel Kiplagat and Professor Jesse Mugambi, who braved the harsh terrain and bushes of southern Sudan to witness the late General John Garang, the former leader of the Sudan People's Liberation Army, form a government.
In July of 1997, he was invited together with Bethel Kiplagat and myself, and we spent a whole week in the bush in South Sudan trying to reconcile the church, the army, the movement, and the community. And it is there in July 1997 that beginnings came towards the comprehensive peace agreement. We did meet John Garang and the other leaders at that time, and frankly, it was in that meeting that I met John Garang for the first time.
Nearer home, at the height of the post-election violence that threatened to tear the church and the nation of Kenya asunder, Reverend Gatu convened a group of senior retired and serving clergy and formed the Senior Clergy Consultative Forum, SCCF, that seeks to support the church and the church leadership in Kenya in bringing peace, justice, healing and reconciliation to the church and the nation.
And no more to point fingers at each other, and ask the Lord to lead us from here on.
Several peace-building workshops were organized across the country, especially in the regions worst hit by the violence.
We are not fighting. We are only bringing information. We want to share. We are not only meeting the rural land. We want to also we want to meet the total Nyanza.
At the center of Reverend Gatu's meteoric career, social and family life is his late wife, friend and faithful partner in ministry, Rahabu Wangare Wagatu, fondly known as Nyena wa Kibashia. Since their marriage in 1944 until 2006, when Rahabu went home to be with the Lord, she has been his best friend, an inspiration, and more than a companion in ministry. They have together built their own home and brought up children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren.
Now, most of us think we are too average to do much. We don't have power, we don't have money, we don't have anything. You know, we always say, God, if I had this, I'd be extraordinary, but because I don't have it, I'll just be average. But God is calling us, like the way he called Guka, to be extraordinary. He didn't say I'll take people who are really tall, or, you know, like the way he took David, and David was the smallest of all his brothers, but he said, I will take the person who is after my heart to do what I want to be achieved, and that is what Guka has done.
In the larger church family, they have held numerous counseling sessions, given talks and sermons on the marriage institution, and more often than not, opened their home as a sanctuary for those in need of refuge. Apart from a happy home, what is the secret of Reverend Gatu's vibrant life?
I don't know that I can give any correct answer, but there are a number of things that, for example, a Christian disciplined life has something to do with, you know, being too worried about things and so on. And for example, when I was before I got to know Christ, I was a heavy drinker, I was a heavy smoker, and those items like those are not beneficial to your health. Now that I have not touched a glass of beer or wine for almost more than 60 years, or even a cigarette. Of course, that means that I have probably preserved a lot of energy which otherwise would have been spent on those things.
Like St. Paul of old, Reverend Gatu has learned to rejoice in the Lord always and to keep his mind on those things that are of good report. He takes care of his body and spirit.
The doctors are telling me to reduce my weight. I have to choose what I eat. But in the past, I ate whatever was available. I happen to have a very good stomach. I can eat practically nothing. I tell people that I can eat everything except a piece of wire. But if somebody showed me how to cook it, then I would eat it. But other than that, nothing bothers me in terms of food.